إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد إخوتي وأخواتي في الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are supposed to take the explanation of the book Al-Arba'in fi Huquq Rabbil Alameen, but I want us to do a kind of revision of what you have learned concerning Al-Buyur, that is the transactions, the financial dealings, just to remind one another of some of these principles that we have learned. Yes, the basis in other dealings apart from the ibadat is permissibility. But despite this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has restricted us with respect to some of the dealings that we engage in, with some conditions and some principles. As a Muslim, it is binding on us to abide by these principles whenever we are engaging in our transactions, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم. O you believe, do not devour your wealth amongst yourself بالباطل, in a wrong way, in an unjust way. إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم. But if it is tijara, the kind of sale, merchandise, buying and selling, and taradin minkum, that is based on mutual consent, and all other conditions are fulfilled, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this is permissible. With this verse, we know that we cannot just engage in any transaction or any financial dealing without restricting ourselves with the Sharia restrictions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about riba in the Quran. And from the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it, we know it is a very grave sin. Meaning, as a believer, whenever you are engaging in any transaction, we have to avoid riba. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. Those who devour riba, they will not be raised up except in the way of somebody who has been possessed by jinn. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا الْبِيعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. This is because they argue that this bay', the transaction that is allowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, مثل riba. There is no difference between it and the one that He has prohibited, that He calls riba. So we do not see any difference between the two. This is what? Effort to make money. This is also effort to make money. Why is this legalized and this prohibited? إِنَّمَا الْبِيعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. Allah says, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبِيعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legalized al-bi', the transaction, the buying and selling that fulfill the Sharia condition. Allah has legalized it. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبِيعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits riba. Allah prohibits riba. So Allah did not accept it from them when they claim they are the same. Allah said, no, they are not the same. The buying and selling that fulfill the conditions of the Sharia are halal. وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. But riba is haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ جَاءَهُ مُوعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ فَانْتَهَى. Whoever receives the admonition from his Lord, fantaha, and he goes away from it, that he is from riba, فَأَمُرُ إِلَى اللَّهِ, his affair rests with Allah. فَمَنْ جَاءَهُ مُوعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ فَانْتَهَى فَلَهُ مَا سَلَفَ وَأَمُرُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. What he has done before, what he has devoured of riba before, that is gone. وَأَمْرِ إِلَى اللَّهِ, and his affair rests with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ عَادَ, but whoever goes back to it, فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. These are the inmates of hellfire, whom فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, and they will dwell in it forever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from this. The shy idea is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is harsh on the issue of riba, despite the fact that riba falls in dealings other than ibadah. It falls in dealings other than ibadah. So when we say al-aslu fil mu'amalat, the basis in other dealings apart from ibadat is al-ibaha, is permissibility. We should not understand from this that we can do anything, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about riba, and riba has to do with what? Our financial dealings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is harsh on it, to the extent that Allah says those who eat riba, they will be raised up like a madman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from his punishment. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us know that if you repent from riba, he said what? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu ar-riba ad'afan mud'afatan. O you believe, do not devour riba ad'afan mud'afatan, in many food. Because this was the practice of the people of Jahiliyyah. They will eat riba in many food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, la ta'kulu riba ad'afan mud'afatan. Wattaqullah, fi Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the issue of riba is not something that we take with levity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِن تُبْتُمْ, if you repent, فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ, take your capital. That is, those of you who have engaged in one riba or the other, if you repent from it, فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ, take your capital. لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. You don't wrong people, people shouldn't wrong you. And many verses concerning this, a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about riba. In one hadith that some scholars say is not authentic, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Dirham riba ya'kuluhu ahdukum wa huwa ya'lam ashaddu alayhi min 36 zaniya." A dirham of riba that one of you eats is worse than 36 zina. Is worse than committing zina 36 times. This a lot of scholars authenticated, though some scholars they have a comment on it. But the most important thing is that what the issue of riba is a very serious issue that we shouldn't take with levity. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned the companions about this often and often, to the extent that his uncle, the person that he should be shy from, but was somebody who was engrossed in devouring riba. Messenger of Allah gave a very strong talk during the time of Mina, during the time of Hajj. He gave a very strong talk on the plain of Arafah. Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ala wa riba al-jahiliyyati mawdur'." He said the riba of the time of ignorance is mawdur', is something that has been outlawed. وأول ربا أضعه ربا العباس ابن عبد المطلب. The first riba that I'm going to outlaw is the riba of Al-Abbas, the son of Abdul Muttalib, who was his uncle. So Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib would devour riba a lot. Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made him an example. So meaning the issue of riba is not something that we should take with levity. So when we talk about riba, there are two types of riba. There is what is called riba ad-duyun and riba al-buyur. Riba ad-duyun, this is riba that has to do with the debt. The riba that has to do with the debt. And this comes in two ways. The first one is when you sell an item to somebody. You sell an item to somebody, or you work for somebody and you're expecting the person to pay you. When it is time for the person to pay you, the person does not have the money. The money is not ready yet. We now tell the person, imma an taqdiya wa imma an turbiya. It's either you pay now or you add something to it. So an item is sold to somebody. When it is time for the person to pay, he doesn't have. Okay, the seller says, I'm going to give you respite. But when I'm giving you respite, you are going to add more money to it. When it is due, the person is unable to pay, he gives him respite. When it is due again, the person is unable to pay, he gives him respite. So this interest, the riba, will be what will be accruing. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pointed at when he said what? Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la ta'akulu riba ada'afan muda'afa. Do not eat riba ada'afan muda'afa. So as time goes on, they increase the interest. If the person is unable to pay, they increase it like that, just like the way they are doing now. But this is what is called riba duyun, because the person is indebted to the other person through commodity now, through commodity. Then the other one, that is the second type of riba ad-duyun, is through loan. I'm loaning you. This also comes in two ways. I may loan you and add more money from inception. This is 10,000 naira I'm loaning you, but when you are going to pay back, you are going to pay me 11,000 naira. This is what? Riba duyun. This is stipulated from inception. The other type is somebody loans you, but the person does not stipulate any addition to it from inception. But when it is time for you to pay, you are unable to pay. It now says, "Imman taqdi wa imman turbiya." Will you pay me now or you add more? So this is what the riba of ad-duyun, through loan. The first one, that was a commodity that was sold. But when the person was unable to pay, he gave him respite and he had more money. In the case of this, is a loan that is given to the person from inception and is adding money. Or when the person is unable to pay, he will add more money and give him more time. So this is called the riba al-jahiliyyah. Riba al-jahiliyyah. Riba al-jahiliyyah kana fi duyun. The riba of jahiliyyah has to do with what? With debt. The debt which may be through the sale of a commodity or through a loan, and there are interests that are added to the money. And that is why the riba that the banks are doing today, or some individuals are doing, it is riba of duyun. It is riba of duyun. So whether through commodity, the person is unable to pay and they add more money, or through loan, court. Through court. Now the other type is riba al-buyur. The one that has to do with what? Al-buyur. Buyur means what? To exchange. This is not the issue of debt now. It has to do with what? It has to do with exchange of something. There are some items that are known as riba items. Scholars, they talked about them, but what the agreement is upon now is that they are things that have to do with currency and things that have to do with measurable foodstuff. Currencies and measurable foodstuffs. These are riba items. When we talk about exchanging things, you know, that is what is called trade by barter. I have this, I want to exchange with you. This is berry. They say the word berry is gotten from the word ba'u, that is the arm, because you stretch out your arm. So these riba items, all the currencies, they are riba items. And this was based on what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. Adhabu bidhab, riba. When you are exchanging gold for gold, it is riba. Illa aha or aha, unless if it is what? Take. Wa mithla mi mithli, and it is what? Equal for equal. Wal fidda bil fidda riba. Exchanging silver with silver is riba. Illa aha wa aha, unless if you do it this way, take and take. Wa mithla bi mithli, and they are equal. At the end of the hadith, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَإِذَا اخْتَلَفَتْ هَذِهِ الْأَصْنَافِ, if these things, they are different, that is, this is gold, this is silver, and you want to exchange gold for silver, so they are what? They are different. فَبِعُوا كَيْفَ شِئْتُمْ, you can exchange the way you like. You can exchange 200 grams of silver with a gram of gold, no harm. فإذا اختلفت هذه الأصناف فبيعوا كيف شئتم إذا كان يدا بيد, on condition that is what? It is hand to hand. That is, it is what? Aha or aha. Take and take. No go come. Now those who do this the change of a thing, some of them they fall in this type of riba. So somebody may say, okay, this is $1,000. I want to exchange it with what? Naira. And the person will take it, say what? In the evening I will bring it to you. He has collected the $1,000 from him, and you say what? He will supply him with the naira in the evening. So he has fallen in what is called what? Riba al-buyur. But this type of riba al-buyur that he falls in is called what? An-nasi'ah, riba al-nasi'ah. Because of what? The delay, that delay. Ordinarily, exchanging $1,000 with, let's say for instance, 100,000 naira or 200,000 naira, no harm. You know, we may say, for instance, how much you they sell $1 now? Somebody may say 360 something. Somebody may say 350. Now, it does not really matter how much you sell your dollar in Islam, unless if the government try to restrict that you must not sell more than this. But I have $1. If I decide to sell it 400 naira, if you are pleased, you can buy it. If you are not interested, no harm. Because we can exchange the dollar with what? The naira, the way we like, on condition that is what? Is hand to hand. Just as what you can exchange gold with silver the way you like, on condition is that what? It is hand to hand. There must not be delay. If there is delay, you are falling in what is called what? Riba al-buyur. Why this delay? The delay has to do with the fact that both of them, they share the same reason for what? For being a riba item, which is what? A-thamaniya, which is being a currency. They share the same reason for being what? Riba item, which is what? A-thamaniya. Let's assume you want to exchange gold with cloth, for instance, now. This condition is what? It's not required. Because cloth is not a currency. Yes, gold is a currency, but what you are exchanging gold with is not what? A currency. So we do not need what? We do not need this issue of hand to hand there. We do not need issue of hand to hand. So and that's why I can watch. I can give you gold, and what you give me clothes later. No harm. I can give you naira, you give me clothes later. But if I'm giving you gold, I want to give me naira, it must be instant. Some of our brothers, they fall in this. Maybe somebody is into the sale of what? Gold. And somebody wants to buy gold from him or her. So she sells on credit or he sells on credit. This is riba. Unless if he or she is going to take something else that is not currency. Because gold is the origin of what? Of the currency. So any other currency falls under this. Is it clear? So if you are selling gold, you can't sell on credit. You must not sell on credit. If you are selling silver, you must not sell on credit. Just as if you are selling naira, pound sterling, dollars, you must not sell on credit. If you sell on credit, you fall in what is called riba al-buyur. or riba nasi'ah. That deferment there is riba. Because this item, they are riba item. They are supposed to be exchanged instantly. If they share what? If they share the same reason of riba. We said the first reason is what? As-samaniyya. How this is clear. But if they do not share the same reason, one is samaniyya, the other one is what? Clothes. The issue of riba doesn't come in here. But if they share samaniyya, being currency, even if they are different in terms of what? The note. Maybe this is naira, this is dollar. The condition of what? Hand to hand must be fulfilled. But if they share the same currency, they are the same currency, and what? They are both currencies and they are the same currency. Two conditions are required. As-samaniyya wa and what? Mithlam bi mithlam wal mithliyya. Samaniyya and what? Mithliyya. Being equal is required. So I cannot exchange 1,000 naira that is new with 1,000 naira that has been stained or that is dirty. And now what? Given the person 1,000 naira and 100 naira, and you take what's new 1,000 naira. If you do that, you fall in what is called what? Riba al-buyu. What type of riba al-buyu? It is called riba al-fadl. Riba al-fadl. That is what? There is addition. Riba al-buyu, you are exchanging. What type of riba al-buyu? Riba al-fadl is addition. If it is not hand to hand, you fall in riba al-buyu. What type of riba al-buyu? Riba al-nasi'ah. There is deferment in what you are not supposed to defer. In what you are not supposed to defer. In what? In the type of riba. You are not supposed to defer it. Whether you are making more money on it or not, you are not supposed to defer. It must be hand to hand. I hope it is clear. You are not supposed to defer it. That is what we are addressing there. Then there are some that if they are the same, because they share the same riba reason, they are samaniyya, you are not supposed to what? Add more to the other. Because they are the same thing. Not because they are the same thing only, they are what? They are riba item. They are riba item. Now Messenger of Allah in that hadith said, وَالتَّمْرُ بِالتَّمْرِ. When you are changing date for date, he said is what is riba. Likewise, when you are exchanging ash-sha'ir bil-sha'ir, you are exchanging barley for barley, is riba. When you are exchanging al-milh bil-milh, you are exchanging salt for salt, it is what? It is riba. Al-bur bil-bur, when you are changing wheat for wheat, it is riba. So these four items, they stand the basis of what the scholars have eventually, and this is what the fiqh councils are upon, that it is what? It is being foodstuff, that is what? Measurable, that is measurable, and that is something that you can keep. So every other measurable foodstuff that you can keep, they fall under this. And that is why you cannot exchange one type of gari with another type of gari except what? Mithlam bi mithlim. Because both of them, they share what? They share what? A term. That is being food. They share it together, being measurable foodstuff. They share this together. So you cannot exchange them because this is gari, this is gari. Beans, you can't share, you cannot you cannot exchange one type of beans with another type of beans except what? Mithlam bi mithlim. It must be equal. Why? Because they fall under riba items. A type of rice with another type of rice, you can't exchange them except what? Mithlan be mithling. In addition to that, there must not be nasi'ah. At times there may be mithlan be mithling, equal for equal, but there will be nasi'ah. There will be what? Nasi'ah, there will be deferment. Once there is deferment, it is riba. Once there is deferment, it is riba. But you can exchange rice with beans, because they are what? Different types of what? Food, not the same type. Not, they don't fall in the same category of the same food that is named. So you can exchange rice with beans, but one condition is what is required. You can take 2 cups of beans with a cup of rice, no harm. But there must be what? There must be al-hulul. It must be instant. There mustn't be nasi'ah. No any delay. If there is nasi'ah, one falls in riba al-buyur. I said earlier, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said at the end of the hadith, فَإِذَا اخْتَلَفَتْ هَذِهِ الْأَصْنَافِ. So if they are different, فَبِرُ كَيْفَ شِئْتُمْ إِذَا كَانَ يَدًا بِيَدٍ. Now, rice and dollar, or rice and naira, can you exchange them? They are not the same, and they do not share the same ribarism. They do not share what? The same ribarism. This is what dollar is thamaniya, is because it's currency. Why this one is what? A dorma, because this is what? Food. So in this case, you can say what? Give me a bag of rice, I will give you what? Money next month. You are changing, but the condition of what? Instancy is not required here, because they do not share the same illah of riba. Yes, this one is a riba item, this one is also a riba item, but they do not share the same illah of riba. So you can exchange. Now talk of if both of them are not riba items, like handset with wristwatch, you want to exchange them. I have a handset, you have a wristwatch, you want to exchange. You want to exchange. I want to give you my handset, you want to give me your watch. So there is no, handset is not a riba item, because it's not currency, nor is it food. The wristwatch is not a riba item, because it's not currency, nor is it what? Foodstuff. So there is no issue of riba here. You can exchange handset with a wristwatch. I give you handset, now you tell me you are going to give me wristwatch next year. No, no riba. Okay, wristwatch with wristwatch. Wristwatch with wristwatch, we can watch. Exchange. You are giving me 2 handsets, I'm giving you 1 handset, we can exchange. No riba item. They are not riba items. Exactly. So we have to differentiate between this and the first one. Now we said riba duyun is of 2 types. Whether you sell something to somebody and the person is owing you, that is debt. The way somebody will be owing you is maybe you have sold something to him or you have loaned him. If you have loaned him, this is what? Qard. If you have loaned the person, this is what? Qard. So riba duyun is either riba qurud, the riba that comes as a result of what? Loan, or the riba that comes as a result of what you sell to the person. But don't forget, when you are selling something to somebody, you don't sell, and the person is going to pay you later. Make sure it's not a riba item that belongs to the same ribaism. I hope this is clear. This is, do you know the reason why those 6 things and what look like them, they are what? Exempted. You can sell something to somebody on credit, but make sure what you are selling on credit to somebody is not what? A riba item. That belong to the same what? They have the same reason. Huh? If this you understand later, but just take note of this. Now, in terms of qard is loan. When we say qard is when you give somebody something. Mubadalat malin bi malin. You are exchanging something with something later. Ma'a ta'jil, but you are going to what? There is a kind of deferment in it. Are you with me? You are exchanging one wealth with another. Now, if I give you, you come to me, you say, my brother, please loan me 100,000 naira. And I give you the 100,000 naira. When you are going to give me back, what are you going to give me? And we have established that what? Currency is what? Riba. When we are talking about what? Riba al-buyu, don't forget. We have established that currency is what? Is riba. And when you are going to give me back, you are going to give me back what? The 100,000. Is there a deferment? Is there a delay? Is that not riba? Is it not riba? Said what? Adhab is dhab. Exchanging gold for gold is what? Is riba. Illa aha wa aha. Except you say what? Take and take. So when I give you a loan of 100,000 naira and you are going to what? Return it back to me. There is delay in it. Illa aha wa aha. Except what? Take and take. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permits this for us as part of what? Uqudul irfaq. Contracts of irfaq, of kindness. And that's why you must not make any profit on it. Ordinarily, that delay would have been what? Riba. But because you are not making any profit from it, you are doing it out of what? Kindness. So the Sharia overlooks that. In fact, the Sharia is going to reward you. When you loan somebody twice, it's like you have done sadaqah with it once. So the reason why you must not collect any interest on the what? The loan you give to somebody. Now, when we talk about qard, it's not restricted to what? The riba item that you mentioned here. I come to you, for instance, now, we mentioned the issue of gari. Can I say, my friend, please, loan me a cup of gari or a bag of gari? And it's okay, this is a bag of gari. When I'm going to return it back to you, I return what? A bag of gari, maybe in a month's time or 2 months' time. Ordinarily, that's the surah is what? Surah to riba. Because it's not yadan biyadin. The same item that belong to what? That have what? The same riba reason. But because it's something that you are using to do kindness to people, you are not doing it to make profit out of it. Is this clear? Now, this is not restricted to the riba items that we mentioned. It goes beyond those riba items that we mentioned. It covers everything. It covers everything. It covers everything. You must not add anything to it. Is it clear? Now I said this thing is not a riba item. Or let me use the watch. The wristwatch is not a riba item. This wristwatch, I want to exchange it with you, but I want to take two of it. You will take one. You give me one, I watch. You give me two, I give you one. Permissible or not? It's permissible because it's not riba item. What if there's going to be delay in it? I'm giving you this wristwatch now, and you are going to return it. You are going to give me two of each in a month's time. Is it riba? It's not riba. Let's ponder on it. Is it riba or not? If you say it's riba, why riba? If you say it's not riba, why not riba?
Because we have said that it applies to every other thing, then one would cautious to say that perhaps it's true, but that's why we said. But without that statement from you, you want to claim that it's not true.
Now, it depends. If it comes in form of what? Berry. Berry, as in transaction. It is not riba. Because now we have talked about riba al-biru. You have talked about riba al-biru. It's not riba. Because wristwatch is not one of the riba items. It's not currency, nor is it what? Measurable foodstuff. So it's not riba. So meaning what? You can exchange one of these with two of each. Now the deferment or the delay will not mean anything. That is if it comes in form of what? Berry. You know, when you are doing berry, you are what? You are also what? You are proud to do berry when you are doing berry at times. But is it possible that it comes in form of qard, loan? Is it possible that it comes in form of what? Loan. Is it possible? So if it comes in form of loan, there is no way it will be riba. If it comes in form of berry, permissible. If it comes in form of loan, riba, impermissible. It covers everything. So if I say loan me a wristwatch, I'll give you 2 in 2 months or in 1 month, riba sorry is clear. Loan me a wristwatch or loan me this handset, I will give you 2 of it, is clear riba. Sell this handset to me, I will pay you with what? 2 of it. Is that riba?
It's actually not at your blessing. It's more like a business transaction.
It's like a business now.
In terms of loan,
if it is loan, even using the word loan me. Now let's go back to this issue. The network provider, they will tell you that what they are loaning you 450 naira airtime, and you will pay back with 500 worth of airtime. Riba or not? Why riba? Because it's what? Borrowing and loan. So this is a very simple issue. So when this issue came up, and people are confused. There shouldn't be any confusion. Because they say what? They are loaning you, you are borrowing. So it is what is specifically mentioned. And that is the reason why it is riba. So if they are to alter it, who want to sell to you 450 naira worth airtime, and when you are paying, that is, you are bringing yours, it is going to be what? 500 naira worth airtime. Is it riba? This, according to most scholars, is not riba. The Shafi'iyya, the Hanabila, the Hanafiya is not riba. Now, the Malikiyya, they are of the opinion that such a thing couldn't have happened if not loan. It can't be buried. It cannot be buried. What will make me exchange the same handset? The same handset. I will exchange 1 with 2. He said, So definitely this will be what? Something of qard, is loan. But what most scholars are upon is that what is not, if the issue of bay is not mentioned here, or the issue of qard is not mentioned here, and there are not things that point to it that this thing is qard, it is treated as bay. But if there are something that points to the fact that it is what? Qard, then you take it as qard. So that was why when it was said that the network provider or the service provider, they are what? They are giving people 450 watt of airtime, and what the person will pay back with. We said what? Permissible, because it's what? It's something of very. But when the contract, the wording of the contract is seen, and it is seen that what it contains loan, borrow, then it has to change. So this is not something that should be controversial. It's clear. So and that's why scholars would say, كُلُّ قَرْضٍ جَرَّ نَفْعًا فَهُوَ رِبًا. Any loan that fetches benefit for the lender, فَهُوَ رِبًا. What I mean by this is كُلُّ شَرْطٍ جَرَّ نَفْعًا مَشْرُوطًا. Any loan that brings stipulated benefit for the lender. Because if a benefit comes to the lender without stipulating it, maybe the borrower, when he's paying, he decides to add more. He decides to add more. It's not by any agreement. He decides to add more when paying. There is nothing wrong with this. But if it is stipulated, it is haram. The evidence for this is what Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did when he borrowed a camel from somebody and it was time to pay. So he could not get what? They couldn't get a camel of the same age. So they gave the person a camel better than that. And he said what? Ahsanukum ahsanukum qadwa. The best of you is the best in what? In paying. But if they are stipulated this, it would have been what? So if I say what? Loan me a camel, I will return 2 camels. Or loan me a camel, I will return what? A bigger one. This would have been what? Riba. Despite the fact that what? Ordinarily camel is not a riba item. So loan is one of the contracts of kindness. It's not what you make money out of when you are loaning somebody. And that is why what is called the bank guarantee, so to say, or surety or whatever, is one of the uqud of al-irfaq, one of the contracts with which you assist people. You don't make money out of it. So when you go to a bank, for instance, now you want them to stand for you as a guarantor. If you do not have money with the bank, and the bank is standing for you as a guarantor, and they say what they are going to charge you for that, maybe you are going to pay so and so percent. What they have done is that what? They have loaned you. But if you have money that is equal to what they are standing for you, if you have it with the bank, that's what they charge you can be treated as what? Service charge. But if you not have with them, and they say they are standing for you, and you are going to pay so and so amount for them to watch, to stand for you, this is what? Riba. Because it's like what? They are loaning you. It's like they are loaning you. Because if anything happens, those that you are doing business with, they will come to the bank, and the bank will be the one to pay. So they are releasing, let's say, 10 million naira on your behalf, for instance, because of what has happened. So, and you are what? You are paying them for standing for you to pay that. But when you have money that is up to 10 million naira with them, so when those people come, they release the 10 million, what they've done is your 10 million they've released. So they can say, okay, we want to take what? We want to take our service charge, no harm. Here there is no loan. I hope it is clear. So and that's why the scholars will say what? عقد الضمان من عقود الإرفاق. The surety contract is one of the contracts of what? Of irfaq that you do to assist you. You don't make money out of it. So this is something that is important on the issue of what? Riba. Now, there is what is called gharar. Gharar is uncertainty, serious uncertainty. That is what gharar. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam na'am bay'il gharar. He forbade what? The sale of gharar. So gharar is, as I've said, serious uncertainty in something. Now we know when we are doing business, business is what? Is risk. But if the risk is so serious that it will lead to what? A kind of quarrel, fighting and the likes between those who are involved. Serious argument, Islam is against it. Yes, there is risk in business. Any business you want to do, there is risk. But if there is serious risk in it, to the level of what? It is uncertain who is going to watch, who is going to suffer. Then in that case, the Sharia is what? Against it. And that is why you say that don't sell the fruits before they start appearing. Oh, this is my farm. I've grown on it, dates, and the dates have not started what? Coming out. I said I want to sell the dates on this farm to you. Are you sure whether the dates on that farm will come out or not? You are not sure. You collect money from the person and the person comes and say, okay, some plight has affected this and it didn't grow. So what are we going to do? Hey, give me my money. No, I can't give you your money. Or this land, let us do partnership. You will be the one watering, taking care of the farm. I will put down maybe the money and things like that. But whatever grows at this part of the farm is for me. Whatever grows at that part of the farm is for you. So, as Allah will have it, that side didn't grow well, this side grows well. So what will be your what? Your own fate. What will be your fate? So this will lead to what? It will lead to quarrel and disagreement. Okay, this is my camel. I want to sell to you. Bring money. This camel, the baby that comes out of it, so to say, you don't know whether the camel, the pregnant camel, whether what will come out of it will be alive or not. Maybe if she drops it, maybe it will be alive or not. You can't tell. And you have sold it, that particular thing inside. You have sold it. The Arabs, they will go as far as saying what is in the belly of the camel. What the one in the belly now, what that one will bear. I'm buying it, and it will take money. So when that one is produced, so to say, it becomes what? Male. And he has said what? They have had the agreement that what that one produces is what is as paid for. And this one has come out to be what? A male now. So this Abdu of Gharar act of what? Of serious risk and uncertainty, Islam is against it. Because it leads to quarrel. So this is also what? Something that we should all know. Now don't confuse this with what is called Bi'us Salam. Bi'us Salam is you are selling mawsufun bi dhimma, something you are taking responsibility for, something that you are described. You are not saying what this particular farm. Okay, I'm going to deliver so and so kilogram of dates to you. I'm less concerned where you are going to get it, whether it is from the north or from the south you are going to get it. Mine is to watch, to bring what the date with so and so specifications and qualities. So you go and get me that. So if you don't bring it with those qualities, then which means what? You are going to return my money. But to say this particular firm, that particular company, so this is called what? Be'u gharar. And that is what Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what? La tabi' ma laysa indak. La tabi' ma laysa indak. What you do not have, don't sell it. Don't understand it to mean what? Be'u salam. Be'u salam, you don't have it now, but you have not sold a particular thing. What you have sold in Be'u salam is what? Description. But in this thing now, maybe there is something that Ibrahim has. I want to sell it to you. You can't sell what Ibrahim has to me. You can't sell what Ibrahim has to me. One, has he allowed you? Has he given you the permission to sell it to me? That's one. Two, selling it to me, that particular thing, I may not be interested in it. So what he can sell to me is what? Is description. Is description. You can't sell a particular thing to me which I have not seen. So but you can sell description to me. How this is clear. So the issue of gharar is a very serious issue. Now part of gharar is this gambling that people do. It's part of gharar, gambling. It is certain that one of the two gamblers will lose. But who is going to lose? We don't know. It involves serious what? Risk and uncertainty. We do not know the person that is going to lose, but it is certain that one of them what? Will lose, for the other to benefit. So and that is why gambling is gharar. Gambling is gharar. So when they ask us, we know that the basis in things that are not ibadat is permissibility. But there are some restrictions that the Sharia has restricted us with, and we have to abide by those restrictions. So part of the restrictions with respect to financial dealings is that there must not be what? There must not be riba in it. There must not be gharar in it. Then there must not be dhulm. There must not be injustice in it. There must not be injustice in it. So any transaction that you want to partake in, watch out for these things that you have mentioned. Any transaction. Now there is what is called al-wa'd, promise. Promise. We all know promise to be something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to fulfill. أوفوا بالعقود أوفوا بالوعد والموفون بآتهم إذا آدوا, and things like that, to fulfill what? Your promise. Fulfillment of promise. Fulfilling promise, is it something that is binding or not? Now all the scholars, they agree. If I promise to do something for you, but I have in mind that I won't do it, they all agree that such a person is a sinful person. Such a person is somebody that will say what? Is khaib. Because he's promising and he has in mind that he won't fulfill his promise. But somebody who promises to do something and is incapacitated by one thing or the other, or he sees a greater benefit in not doing that thing, are we going to say the person is sinful? And that he must be made to fulfill that promise? According to majority of the scholars, they say no, it's not sinful. So al-wafa bil wa'di in this type of situation is what? Mustahab. Somebody promises that he's going to buy you a car, and you have been happy that the car is coming, and all of a sudden the person say, I will not be able to do that thing again. Are we going to say no, you must do it? So majority of scholars said what? Al-wafa bil wa'd mustahab is something that is mustahab. The Malikiyya, most of them, they are of the opinion that if that wafa bil wa'd has led the person to incur some losses, then he must be made to pay for that thing, because he's the one that has promised the person. But this that they've said, it is what? In uqudu tabarru'at, in something that is donative contract, not commutative contract, and something of gift. Okay, I promise I'll give you a car, for instance. Is this transaction? Is it a transaction? It's not a transaction. Now, is the promise binding on me? According to the scholars, mustahab. But if the person that I promised to give a car, if the person has incurred some losses because of the promise that I promised him, maybe he has gone to watch to get some things that are related to that have to do with the car based on the promise. Take for instance, Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala is said to have said, if somebody say what, go and get married, I will provide an accommodation for you, and the person gets married, no accommodation. He said in a situation like this, he will be made to watch, to pay for that thing. He will be made to fulfill his promise. It becomes what? Wajib. But this is in donative contract, as I've said, not in commutative contracts. What do we mean by commutative contract? This is a contract in which what? We are being tabadu. I'm giving you, you are giving me. I'm giving you, you are giving me. Maybe I'm giving you money, you are giving me what? The commodity. This commutative contract. Not in commutative contract. Now in the recent time, when I say the recent time, about 30 years ago, the conventional banks that we know the type of things that they're engaged in. There are some Muslims who learned these conventional dealings as well. So they were looking for ways to Islamize those things. Okay, they are doing so and so in so and so banks. They are doing so and so in so and so banks. Let us try to Islamize some of these things. Let us table this issue before the scholars. Let's see. So they brought issues like this. They brought them to Majma' al-Fiqh Islami. We know we have this OIC, Organization for Islamic Conference before. They will call it Organization for Islamic Cooperation now. So this Organization for Islamic Conference, they form a fiqh academy that comprises scholars. That comprises scholars. So they will look at different issues. Now one of the issues that they brought to them is what is called al-ijaratu al-muntahiyatu bit-tamlik. What is ijara? Ijara is lease. Okay, I have this property, I want to lease it to you. I lease the property to you, then you pay rent. So you pay rent when I lease it to you. Maybe I'm leasing it to you for 5 years, you pay the rent. And after 5 years, I take my property back. Or I lease it to you, you pay what? Maybe on a monthly basis, as you have what? The houses. That at times they say what? You pay on monthly basis. Like one of our brothers was telling me some years back, that in Sudan, you just pay for what? Maybe a month. And what? You go in. It's not something that you go and bring 2 years. You pay maybe on a monthly basis. And you practice this before. Yeah. But now, they prefer what? Paying for a whole year. So what they are doing is what? They have leased their house to you. Now those who were engaged in this lease contract, they were afraid. So they said, maybe the way some people will use the property. They said, why can't we change this thing to what? Lease to own. Or hire, the same thing as lease. Hire, purchase. That is, we are hiring this thing to you, but at the end of the day, you purchase it. At the end of the day, you purchase it. Now they started with this, that they will be treating you as a lessee. That is, that property is not yours. Then they will be treating you as an owner. That is, as if you are the owner, because of the purchase agreement that is involved. So when this happened, the Ayatul Kibar Ulama, they looked at this issue and they said, this is what? This is Mu'amalatun Muharrama, because it contains 2 transactions in one. And the 2 transactions, they have what? Different rulings and conditions that guide it. Take for instance, in the case of purchase, if you purchase something, you are the owner. You can do with it what you like. In the case of lease, when you rent something, you are not the owner. You can't do with it what you like, because you don't own the property. You only own what? You own the benefit for a while. So when you treat me as the owner, meaning what? If that property has any faults, I'll be the one to be responsible for it. At the same time, you say what? I'm not the owner. You cannot release the property to me. So if there is problem now, you want to treat along the line. No, the lease is for 5 years, but you say what? Hire purchase is for 5 years. Now, maybe you are in the 2nd year, something happens to the property. You say you have to bring it. He says what? He has to pay for it. You'll be responsible. I'm just a lessee, but you're also a purchaser now. Why purchaser? We have what? We have reached that agreement from inception. It is higher purchase that we say. So you are the purchaser. But you did not transfer the ownership to me. You are the lessee now. So for this reason they say what? It is haram. Now there were modifications. They modified it. Okay? Let us read this way. It is lease, but there is a promise to what? A promise to buy. That is what you mean by hire purchase. A lease, but a promise to buy. So this is the Fiqh Council. They looked at it Then I said, okay, if that is the case, if there is a promise to buy, the promise here is wa'adu al-wa'adu yuwazi al-khiyar. It's a promise that is equivalent to what? Al-khiyar option. That is what? Equivalent. Or that is parallel to what? Khiyar option. Meaning if that time comes, I, the owner, may decide that I'm not selling. Meaning what? The promise is not binding. If that time comes, I, the owner, may be interested in selling as what you have what? As I've agreed from inception. You, the what? The buyer that have agreed to what? To buy from inception may say what? I'm no longer interested. Are you with me? They said what? Al-wa'du yuwazi al-khiyar. Al-wa'du yuwazi al-khiyar. So for this reason, they said if it is in this case, there is what? Khiyar. Now question, is the promise binding or not? It's not binding. Now some scholars at that sitting, that is at that session, you know, I said this is Majma' Fiqh Islami. It has what? Scholars from different parts of the globe. So some said the promise should be binding. The promise should be binding. So they started a debate. Al-Qardawi and some others, they are of the opinion that fulfillment or fulfilling of promise is compulsory. So the other scholars, or some of the scholars around, the one who championed the opposing group then was Sheikh Muhammad Sulaiman al-Ashqar. He said the promise is not binding. The promise is not binding. Because if you say the promise is binding, that means it's a contract. Is what? Is a concluded contract. If the promise is binding. So Qardawi says it's not a concluded contract, it's just a promise, but the promise is binding. So there were mudakhalat, those who were for and those who are against. So at the end of it all, that of Al-Ijara Muntayya bit-Tamlik, they said what? Al-Wa'du yuwaz al-khiyar. They left that. Later, the issue of Bay'ul Murabaha came in again. Which one is Bay'ul Murabaha? The word Murabaha is from the word Ribh, meaning what? Profit. The Arabs, they have what they call Bay'ul Amana and Bay'ul Musawama. Bay'ul Amana is when you are amin to your client. You say, this thing, I got it for 5,000 naira. And I want to sell it to you for 5,000 naira. You are out. You are open to the person. Amana, you want him to trust you. So once you tell somebody you get this thing for 5,000 and want to sell it 5,000 naira, or I bought it for 5,000, I want to sell it 5,500 naira, or I bought it 5,000 naira but I'm selling it to you 4,500 naira. All this is what is Bay'ul Amana. You know, at times you may buy something and sell it less than the price. Maybe it's not moving. You may buy something and sell it for the cost price. But most of the time when you buy something, you sell it more than the price. If you sell it more than the price, they call it Bay'u Murabaha. In the past, they call it Bay'u Murabaha. The person is open to the buyer, and it tells him the profit is going to make. Now, if the person now gets to know that you say you bought this thing 5,000, he now got to know later that you bought it for 4,000 naira, he has the right to come and claim what? The 1,000 naira, because you have what? You have deceived him. So that's why they call it Be'u Amana. They call it Be'u Amana. Then the second one is Be'u Musawama. So Murabaha is when you add money, when you sell at the cost price, they call it Be'u Teljia. When you sell less than the cost price, they call it Be'u Wadi'ah. But all of them, the three of them fall under what is called Be'u and Amana. Then the other one is Be'u Musawama. Yeah, I want you to bargain. Let me buy this thing for this. Let me take it for this. The first one, I don't want you to watch. I don't want you to go into bargaining with me. I want you to just trust me. This is. So if it now appears, it appears later that you have what? You have deceived me. I have the right to come back and what? Claim the difference. But in Be'u Musawama, how much are you selling this? 6,000 naira. Let me pay 5,800. Let me pay no. And at the end of the day, we agree on the price. So you pay for that. Now let's go back to Be'u Murabaha in the contemporary time. Be'u Murabaha in the contemporary time, this is when I go to a bank, for instance, a bank. I said, I'm in need of a car, but I don't have money. I'm in need of a car, but I don't have money. If the bank has a car with it, and it sells a car to me on credit, this is called what? Be'ul Ajal. Be'ul Ajal. This is not where we are going. But the bank itself does not have the car with it. It's based on what? My approach to the bank, that I need a car and I don't have money. So the bank will go to a third party to get the car, to get the car. So now before the bank now goes to the third party, to the company to get the car, the bank is also afraid. If it brings a car, I may not buy it. You say what? Okay, let us reach an agreement that if I bring the car, you are going to buy it. Please, is this issue of promise we are talking about now? If I bring what? The car, you are going to buy it. Let us reach an agreement. Now we sign the agreement that if you bring it, I'm going to buy it. He also says that if I bring the car, I will sell it to you. Rest assured, no problem. I will sell it to you. So both of us, we reach that agreement. Is that if the bank now goes and the bank now brings the car, and I say, I'm sorry, there are some things that happened. I don't think I will be able to continue with that. What can you say on that? Is that promise binding or not? Huh?
It's binding.
It's binding. Why binding?
Because the bank does not sell out.
Because
the bank doesn't deal with that. But because of the person that saw it in the banks, so that's why I want to run the bank.
Now, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, Sheikh Al-Albani and some others, they don't have an issue. To them they say this is what is clear riba. Going to the bank to say the bank should get you a car, and you know the bank is not selling car, you yourself you are interested in what? In riba. So Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said, well, it is haram. Sheikh Al-Albani, they say what? Haram. Now, the second issue is, okay, when we say it is binding, we are looking at the side of what? The bank now. Islam says, wala tabi'i ma laysa indak. Don't sell what you do not have. Does the bank have the car? So what the bank should have told the person is that what? I don't have a car. But because the bank itself is also interested in what? In money. And the bank does not want to involved in what? In risk. And you can't make money without risk. So the bank wants the client to sign an agreement to commit himself. So we say it's not binding. We say it's binding. Nam al-Qardawi in the session and some others who took his view, they defended it. They said, no, it should be binding. So coming with what? The argument that I mentioned, it should be binding, but Islam asks us to what? To fulfill what? Promise and things like that. The other scholar said, this is not the issue of fulfilling. Islam asks us to fulfill promise. This is an issue of what? Don't sell what you do not possess. This is using promise to legalize what Allah has forbidden. Allah has forbidden this type of transaction. You are not using what? Promise, binding, to what? To legalize what Allah has forbidden. Then, this issue of what? The promise is binding that the Malikiya said is not in commutative contract. It is what? It's in Uqud Tabarru'at. But Al-Qardawi said we can generalize it. And some others, they say that all these are what? Recorded. We can generalize it. If it is used in what? Uqud Tabarru'at, we can say what? It is allowed in Uqud Mu'awadat. But those scholars, they did not buy that opinion. And that was why Sheikh Muhammad Sulaiman al-Ashqar wrote his book Bay'ul Murabaha Kama Tujri'i al-Bunuk al-Islamiyya. Bay'ul Murabaha, the way it's been operated by the Islamic banks. Qardawi also wrote a refutation to that book, which he titled what? Bay'ul Murabaha lil Amiri Bishra Kama Tujri al-Bunuk al-Islamiyya. This book was a refutation to the book of Muhammad Sulaiman al-Ashqar. This one saying the world is not mulzim. This one saying what? The world is mulzim. This one saying not binding. This one saying what? Now the angle this one is looking at is that Islam encourages us to watch, to fulfill promise. Not to talk of when the promise has landed somebody into what? Into problem. So this one is saying, Islam says you should not engage in that type of transaction. So don't use binding promise, no binding promise to what? To legalize what Allah has forbidden. So they all presented their book. Scholars like Rafiq al-Misri, also a member, were in what? Were behind people like Muhammad al-Ashqar. People, some other scholars, Muhammad Sulami, and some others, they took to the view of Qardawi. Now most of the so-called Islamic banks, they are operating the view of Al-Qardawi. That it is what? It is binding. Now the Fiqh Council, majority of the scholars in the Fiqh Council, what they later issue out as resolution. You know what we're talking about? Ijara Muntaya bil Tamlik. They said what? Al-Wa'du yuwazi al-Khiyar. But when you go to Bay'ul Murabah, they said what? They said the Muwa'ada, the bilateral promise is not binding. But it is binding if it is one party that is what? Issuing it. Are you with me? If it is one party, take for instance, I'm the buyer now. I tell the seller, that is that the one that's going to bring it, he doesn't have it with him, that I'm making the promise that I'm going to buy it. They said in that case it should be binding, particularly when the person is incurring what? Some losses, some damages. So it must be what? They said in that case it is what? It is binding. Or maybe the reverse. It is the seller now saying what? I'm promising you that I will sell it to you. The buyer did not say what? I promise I will buy it. He didn't write any undertaking. It is the seller that wrote what? Undertaking. They said if it also leads to what? To the buyer incurring some what? Damages. Maybe it's something that they are going to supply him something and he has prepared the ground, he has rented so and so, he has spent a lot of money to prepare for the receiving of the goods. So the seller now say, sorry, I'm no longer interested. Maybe you see somebody that will buy it more. They said in that case, it will be binding on the seller to what? To sell or compensate. But they also agree that if it is what? Mutual, if it is a bilateral, this one says, okay, I'm promising, I will sell it. This one says, I'm promising, I will buy it. They agree in the fiqh council that what? That is majority. I'm talking about the resolution now, that is not binding. Contrary to Qardawi and his supporters. So they said, we don't see anything wrong in what? In the word bilateral. This one says, I will buy. This one says what? I will sell. They take the undertaking. That we don't have a problem with that. Don't forget, we have 3 parties now. The resolution is what? If it is just one side, that is the resolution. Now there is another part that even if it is one party, that is what saying is binding, is not binding. Because if you say it is binding, that means you have what? Concluded the transaction as far as we are concerned. Then we have what? The third party that is saying what? The both parties, they can what? They can do undertaking. This one will do his own undertaking that I will buy. This one will do his undertaking that what? I will sell. Now, most of the so-called Islamic banks, they are operating on the view of Al-Qardawi. Al-Qardawi and most of the people who are of his opinion, they are the advisory board of most of these so-called Islamic banks. Are you with me? So, don't be surprised when you see most of the so-called Islamic banks operating things that are what? Contrary to what most of the scholars that are upright have said. This is where they are coming from. Now it is so funny that most of these so-called Islamic banks, because they are like the conventional banks, most of them are interested in what? In making profits. So they employ some of the so-called scholars as what? Advisors, and they will be bringing the Western products to them and say what? Study this product. This is what? We know this is where they operate it in the West. How can we legalize this? So they will look at it. Maybe per sitting. Some of them may be given what? $1,000 per sitting. Maybe after some time, they give them what? It has become what? A business. One of them was saying that, hey, what is wrong with that? They are just like the lawyers and the accountants. No, they are also working. So now something that is haram, how do you legalize it? Scholars will sit how to legalize. So this is the reason why they bring this wa'adu mulzim or al-muwa'adatul mulzima. In 2009 or late 2008, Muhammad Taqi Uthmani, do you know him? That Pakistani scholar. He did a translation of the meaning of the Quran as well. He's one of those who are very strong when it comes to issues like this. And he also, according to the position of what Wa'adu Muslim, that is what is binding, he took that. But in 2008, he came out and complained. All these are facts that you can see on the internet. He came out and what he said, 85% of the so-called Islamic banks, they are operating haram. And he was what? He was also one of what? The advisors, one of the advisory boards. He said particularly in the aspect of sukuk, of mudaraba and sukuk of musharaka. He said most of what they are doing, these products are not different from the conventional ones. That they just clothing it with the cloth of Islam. Al-Qardawi himself, around 2010 or so, said he was not pleased with what most of the so-called Islamic banks are doing. They are what? They are engrossed in sukukul murabaha, to the extent that what? They are doing a lot of things that violate the laws of Allah. Now this is a man that legalizes something for them. If he is complaining, you know that what? There is problem. If Taqiyuddin Uthmani is also complaining, you know that what? There is problem. What do you expect if Muhammad al-Ashqar, if he were to be alive, what do you expect him to say? Rafiq al-Ariri is still what? Sorry, Rafiq al-Misri. I'm missing it with the Lebanese president. Rafiq al-Misri also said what? He said, you people with this wadu mulzim, you have legalized so many things that are haram. Let me give you an example. That is what the so-called the banks, they were introducing some things that the scholars, that the advisors do not know. They themselves will do qiyas on some of the fatwa that what that the scholars have done. Take for instance, we have just discussed the issue of what riba. I want to exchange naira with dollar from you. What is the ruling? Huh? It must be instant. Barakallahu fikum. It must be instant. I want to exchange naira with dollar. It must be instant. Now, what if you do it this way? That at the end of the month, I want to buy naira from you or dollar from you at the end of the month. But I'm afraid that you may sell it to another person. Can we make a binding promise now? Are you with me? Can you make a binding promise? Maybe me, unilaterally saying, I'm going to buy this thing from you. Or you say what, you are going to sell it to me. Make this unilateral promise. Can we do that? Huh? Some of the so-called Islamic banks, they have legalized it. This is what some of the scholars, those who are in support of them, this is what they are saying. And this is what Rafiq al-Misri is saying, that you will legalize so many things that the Sharia has forbidden through what? Binding promise. No, it's the promise you are looking at. You are not looking at what? They have not compared the transaction. It is what? At the end of the month they are going to do the transaction. But when it's at the end of the month, you say, okay, what about the issue of the dollar? I'm thinking of not buying it again. But you have made a promise now. You have what? Made a promise. So I want to use that promise to legalize what is haram. Some of these scholars, not Al-Qardawi, some of them, they legalize it. They say, it's okay. One of the bankers in the West said at times when we issue out some products, so we'll call some scholars. What can you say about this? If you say no, haram, we'll call another one. Until we get the one that says what? It is halal. So if one of them says it is halal, we bring it, bam. So and so scholars is what has approved this transaction or this product. Then you come and say what? Islamic banks. Where there are what? There are a lot of riba, gharar, in most of the transactions that they are doing. There was a body that was established, I think, in 1991 called Hay'atu Al-Muhasaba Wal-Muraja'a Il-Muassasat Al-Islamiyya, something like that. They call it AOIFI. That is AOIFI, that's how they call it, AAOIFI. AOIFI. So this is a accounting and auditing organization for Islamic what's it called? Islamic financial institutions, AOFI. Now this body has what is called Al-Majlisu Al-Shari'i, the Sharia board. Taqi Uthmani that I mentioned is the head of that, is the head of the board. Now they have a very beautiful presentation. If they want to discuss any product, they will watch, they will give it to an expert in the Sharia. They will look at it to write, develop a write-up on it, criticize and things like that. So they will see, they will discuss it. The resolutions of this AOFI is as strong as that of Majma' Fiqh Islami. Particularly this is what mainly for the financial institutions, the Islamic financial institutions. But where I'm going is that some of these so-called banks, they don't comply with the resolution of this institute. They are the founders. They come together and what establishes, and they have what the Majlis al-Shari'i. But most of the things that they agreed here, that the scholars agreed here, a lot of these banks will not comply with them. And that's why those scholars are crying that one of the problems that we are having is that a lot of banks have not been complying with the resolution of this body. They call it Al-Ma'ayir Shar'iyya, meaning the Sharia standards. That is, any bank that wants to operate anything Islamic, these are the standards that it should follow in these products. But they are complaining that a lot of so-called Islamic banks are not complying with that. When they see some of the products of some of the so-called Islamic banks outside, they discover that what? They are flouting some of these standards. The same thing applies to the resolution of Majma' Fiqh Islami. So I'm trying to say in essence is that don't let us be happy that what we have Islamic banks. Not all of them. Most of them do not comply with the Sharia ruling. There are some that comply with the Sharia ruling, but most of them. So, and this that I'm saying, almost all the scholars that are well grounded in the issue of what transaction are saying it. Sheikh Ali Ahmad Ali Saluth, he was an Egyptian scholar. He stayed in Egypt in Qatar for years. He was the one that said that when they established the Bank of Qatar, he said he was invited as one of the Sharia board here. Qardawi was invited. Now he said to him that, and he was made the head. He said to Qardawi that, in Majma' we disagree a lot. Don't let us bring that disagreement to this place. Let us abide by the resolution of the Majma' in most of the things that we tell people here. He said he agreed with him initially. He said they did this for about 10 years or so. Later, the bank started deviating, drifting away from that thing. And when he saw this, he said what? He resigned. This is what? One of the evidences of what? Not complying with what? The resolution of maybe the Majma' or that of what? The IHA. He said he resigned. So he mentioned this, that a lot of them are not complying. Likewise, I mentioned Rafiq al-Misri. Rafiq al-Misri is shouting, crying this day in, day out. In fact, when you talk about Qadar, you say what? Is a scholar that is what? Just taking money from banks. He's been pleased with the money that is taken from those banks. So and he just legalizes things for them. Then what will you say when you learn that Uvu Qadar himself is crying that, oh, you people, you are not... what will you say when you see that what Taqi Uthmani is saying what 85% of their products are not in line with what? These are the people who support. Rafiq al-Misri is against completely. That this word mulzim of a thing, rule it out. Then the Majma' Fiqh Islami that says what? If it is binding on one, those banks are not even operating if it's binding. No, it must be what? Binding on both of them. So they do al-mu'adatul mulzima, which is the view of Qardawi. So Yusuf Shumaili and many others like that, they are complaining. They all acknowledge that there are problems in the so-called what? Islamic banking. So don't let us be deceived. The fact that you see the name of somebody who is popular in the advisory board of a particular, but doesn't mean it's what. There are those who are far more learned than that person that have what legalized this al-muwa'adatul mulzima. So when you look at some of the prospectus, you see what this muwa'ada mulzima there, and the person will come out to tell us that what, that it is what binding on one party, that this is what the Majma' Fiqh Islami has said. Why you look at the prospectus? This prospectus is saying what Al-Qardawi and others are saying. Who are we to believe? Are we to believe what is in the prospectus or believe what the person is saying? Then the issue of what Imam Malik says the word is mulzim. It is in uqud tabarruat, not in muawadat. If that is the case, there wouldn't have been any controversy or much controversy. So most of them would have said, well, this is a controversial issue among the scholars of the past. But they couldn't bring any evidence that says what? The Malikiya, they did ijazah of this. So this issue of wa'adu mulzim is a new way of making what is haram binding on people through what? Binding promise. Binding promise. So before you just follow anything, you have to look critically. This is not a new thing. It's something that so many banks are doing. This thing is more in Malaysia than even in the Arab world. This word mulzima of a thing, mulzim or mu'ada mulzima, is more in Malaysia. So when something from Malaysia is brought to anywhere in the country, don't think it's what? Sharia compliant. Don't forget your nusus and the principles. So there are hungry banks outside, to the extent that even the Western banks, they say that they have what? Islamic products. Huh? The Western bank having what? Islamic products. So all they need is just to get somebody that will give them the fatwa that this is what permissible. So this is just what I want to call our attention to. We have to be careful in what we take and what we eat and what we dive into. So this is something that is very, very serious. It's not a new thing at all. The reason I've said this is like I heard that the brothers, they are debating this issue. So this one's bringing so and so, bringing fatwa of this, bringing that. So it's something that is very, very important that we have a revision of. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen us. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
As regards the issue of, I actually have two questions. One on the topic you just talking about trying to legalize what Allah has made as in somebody trying to sell what he doesn't have. Reading me that even though the banks are financial institutions, that they also probably invest in selling of maybe merchandise or like the shop car. And as at the time the customer comes around, they don't have it stock. And because they now have a customer who wants to buy it, they decide to probably get for the customer. And that is one question. Second question is about the woman.
Okay, let me answer the first question. Now you said the bank does not have the item when the client comes. And you know, the bank will not go and buy it except there is what? There is a promise to buy. So say this is what they are what the scholars differ on. The Majma', they are of the opinion that if the client undertakes to buy it, that it is binding on him if the bank brings the car, for instance, and is to buy, and if he's no more interested, he will have to compensate the bank for whatever loss he has incurred. Now, the loss that they are talking about does not include the opportunity cost. Does not include what? The opportunity cost. It's just the loss. Maybe he has paid some money, but the opportunity cost that, if you have not done this, maybe so and so person would have bought it and things like that. This does not include the opportunity cost. So maybe the cost of bringing it. But they said they should not consider it sold until the bank has taken possession of it. They will not consider the contract sealed until what? The bank has taken possession of the car. Then after that, the bank now sits with the client. They now enter the sale contract. I'll be clear. But they say what the promise that the client made, that promise is binding. If the bank incurs some damages, is binding. But the sale should not be sealed until what? The bank takes possession of the item. How this is clear? So those who legalize it from the majma, this is what is seen. And secondly, the bank should also let the buyer knows the cost price of that item, because it's Bi'u Murabaha, and I've said it earlier. Bi'u Murabaha in the past as what is Bi'u of Amana. Okay, this is the amount that we are getting it. Thirdly, when this is happening, the bank must not give the client the money to go and buy it, the way a lot of people do today. As somebody comes to you, say, what? I want to buy Marwa, and you say, no problem. We'll do higher purchase, as we say, higher purchase. Then you give the person the money to go and get the Marwa. You give him 500,000 naira to go and get Marwa, and the person goes to buy the Marwa and he starts using it. And at the end of the day, he's paying you, for instance, 800,000 naira. Don't let us deceive ourselves. What you have done is what? 500,000 naira to pay what? 800,000 naira. You loan him 500,000 naira. You gave 500,000 naira to him, and he goes and buy what he wants to buy. And when he's paying you back, he's giving you what? 800,000 naira. This is what? Riba by trick. So and that's why the majma, they stipulated, likewise the ayatul muhasaba, they stipulated that the bank must take possession of it. Then after that, they cannot sit and talk. But the promise on the part of the client that he will buy, they say they do not see that as what? As the contract having been sealed. But if both of them, there is a contract, there is what? A binding promise. This one made what? A unilateral promise. This one also made a unilateral promise. He say what? That means the contract has been sealed from inception, except for Qaddawi and what? And those who takes that position. To them, if there is what? There is unilateral binding, unilateral promise on the part of the client, then another one is part of the bank, the seller, that doesn't mean they have what? Sealed the is it clear? So those who are complaining from among the people of the Majma, they are complaining in that there is a breach of these conditions. Rather than the bank going to take possession, so they will give the client money to go and watch. If it's not something, they will transfer money to his account to go and do. So this is riba by trick. So when people like Qaddawi themselves see this, they say, you people, this Muraba of a thing, you are what? Messing it up. So when Qaddawi was complaining, and he said, what? Leave this issue of Muraba, move to other, we have Musharaka, we have Mudaraba. Because he has given them, he has paved the way for them, and those people have watched. They have introduced more things that they will not say it is what the scholar that have told us this is permissible, but maybe they will look for one other person that what they can contact. They may not use what that person to legalize it. So for the Bill Muraba to be acceptable by those scholars who legalize it, so it must fulfill this condition. The bank must take possession, then after possession, and the bank must declare this is what the cost price of this thing, and this is what we are making as a profit. And if there is anything, and if anything happens to it along the line before they sit down to watch to reach to seal the contract, it is the bank that will be responsible for it. Now, as for those scholars who say it is not permissible at all, that word is not multi, we say it's simple. I come to you, I need what? A commodity, you don't have the commodity. Okay, you go and meet another person, the third party. Also talk to him that you need so and so. Then there is what is called shartul khiyar. In what? In the khiyar shart in the fiqh al-buyu, the condition that okay, this thing give me 3 days to conclude whether what I will take possession of it completely or not. So they should also tell them that they should give them some days. So if they come to their own customer and the customer does not also decline to buy it, then you can go back. You don't want. Rather than what you forcing yourself to buy it and not forcing the customer to buy it. So this is their own position. Those who say this word is not mulsim. But as I said earlier, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said this surah is something that has to do with his riba. Most likely maybe the client is not really interested in what in that commodity. He's interested in money. So you can just go to the bank and say, okay, I need so and so, and the bank will get it and he will go and sell it. This is different from what is called Be'u Tawarruk. Be'u Tawarruk, the bank has the product, but the client is in need of money. He doesn't see somebody to loan him. He goes and gets that thing on credit from the bank, and when he gets it from the bank, he goes and sells it to a third party, not known by the bank, So he will get what is warik. He will get the cash, the money. It's called tawarruk from the word warik, silver. So tawarruk, he wants to make money out of it, but the bank has the item with it. But they do something that they call what at-tawarruku al-munazzam. At-tawarruk al-munazzam. You can watch a coordinated tawarruk. So he goes to the bank. The bank doesn't have the commodity with them, but the bank will say, what? I will connect you to, I will sell this thing to you. Then when we sell it to you, we can also recommend somebody that you can sell it to. And that person that they are recommending is with them. They are working together. So now when they sell the item to him, that the item they don't have, they sell to him. So they now ask him to sell what he has not taken possession of. They ask him to take, and they say what Islamic bank. So all these are things that the scholars are complaining. Those who are advisors to this so-called Islamic banks, this is what they are complaining about. That you people, you are violating the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you want to make profit, and you are using us as what? As evidence before the people. So all this is clear.
You, for instance, if you go to the bank, you want to buy tomorrow and buy already, and then after you take possession of it, you sell it to you at 800,000, and you need to show seriousness and give it up to the 50,000. So not take possession for 50,000.
Now this is called Hamishul Jiddiya. Hamishul Jiddiya is the money you pay to show seriousness as the commitment fee, as they will say. This, some scholars not completely. Now, some scholars, they allow on condition that commitment fee must not be touched. Must not be touched at all. So it's just what? A commitment fee. The seller, the bank will not touch it. So when they now bring the commodity, then you ask what you do you seal the contract. Then in that case, you start to watch to pay the money, but that one will not be touched. No, it must not be part of the money you are paying.
So after the transaction, will they not return it back?
Yes, they will return it.
So which means even if you don't fulfill that, if the contract or the transaction did not go ahead, they're supposed to return it back. And
now they not say if they incur loss, they use the money to watch. If you decline, in going with what the transaction, so they will use a Amish Jediya, they will use it to watch to cover it. Not everything, according to the laws that they incur. The opportunity cost not included.
What if not individual something? So I want to buy it for someone. I want to buy it. Someone said he has interest. So I want to take the person and of course you know more than me about that, maybe about fake or original. So can I take the person and know the person I want to buy it for?
From?
No, I want to buy it for. I want to buy manga for someone in installment.
Okay.
I want to take the person and of course he knows more than me about that. Is it allowed?
Now it's allowed. If you are the client, if you take the client along with you, is allowed. Now the Ayatul Muhasaba, they even went as far as saying what? If you ask the person to act as a client for you, meaning you ask him to buy it for you, but you must not give him the money. You must be the one to pay the seller. Then he can collect it from you. He can collect it for you, bring it for you. But you will be the one to pay to the account of the original seller. Because if you give the money to him, what you have done, you have loaned him. That is so. But some scholars will not support this. I'm talking about the Majma' Fiqh Islami, for instance, or the Ayatul Muhasaba. But the blunt truth is, even Majma' Fiqh Islami, Ayatul Muhasaba, most of the so-called Islamic banks, they are not in compliance with what those people are saying. This is a problem. Most of them are not even what they are deviating from what people like Al-Qardawi are saying. To know how bad it is. If Qardawi could come out and say, "Oh, you people are not doing," if Taqi Uthmani could come out and say, "What 85% of the sukuk that the so-called Islamic banks are operating, that they are not in line with the Sharia." So you should know how things have gone bad now.
In a situation where we have just undertake, it's not undertaking at all, because people both understand that it's not binding according to what the scholars have said, or it's just binding from one end. What they have just done is only the distribution of what you want and the price, but it's not binding, and maybe it's just one end also. Would it be permissible if it's not two of them not that's binding?
If one person sees it as binding,
yeah, because this person that thing details, okay, this car, this color, this car, blah blah blah, and this price, but they have that situation between no binding on this nothing.
Let me ask you the question. What do you see?
I'm thinking it's permissible.
What is your evidence?
No, because of the explanation that it's not binding on both ends.
Whose view is that?
It's not binding on both ends. That's the view of the majority of the people.
Fine. So if one is taken to that, no problem. If one is taken to that, I hope it is clear. So it's either you are taken to the view of people like Muhammad al-Ashqar, Rafiq al-Misri, and some others like that. So when we say Rafiq al-Misri, people like Al-Albani, Ibn Baz, Uthaymin, all these people, they fall in this category, though they are not in the Majma'. But I'm talking about those who are in the Majma' and those who are maybe one way or the other, they are what? They are into this into al-iqtisad Islami, Islamic economies and things that are related. Also, we have mentioned they are what? They are strong people when it comes to this aspect. So, those who take to the view of Rafiq al-Misri, Muhammad al-Ashqar, and some others like that, so they will say what is not permissible. So when they say it's not permissible, know where they are coming from. You see a brother says what not permissible, you know where it's coming from. If it's somebody that is well read. And those who say, okay, if it is binding on one person, not on the two parties, you know it's coming from what? The Majma of Fiqh Islami. Somebody will say what? Unilateral undertaking on the part of the purchaser, unilateral undertaking on the part of the seller. There is no doubt it's coming from Qaradawi's position. No doubt. And that is what is a weak position. I hope it is clear.
The second question I was about to ask was a woman that lost her husband, and she's in working class, maybe she's a teacher, and she's expected to mourn for almost a sin. How does such situation will work?
Sorry, I didn't get it well.
She's supposed to be a leader for
4 months, 10 days.
And she's a teacher. She teaches in the government school, and she lost her husband. How would such a person mourn the husband?
Mourning the husband is different from iddah. Al-ihdaj is different from iddah. Al-iddah is the days that the woman will stay without remarrying. That's iddah. She can't remarry until 4 months, 10 days. Until 4 months, 10 days. That is iddah. Ihdad is for her not to dress a normal way. She cannot apply all those things that she will apply. Not to dress a normal way. That is ihdad. So there is nothing that says that she can go and teach. She can teach. She can go to the market and buy things. So ihdad is different from what?
still on school. The question I want to explain more.
I think I've done enough explanation on it. What I'm saying is that the current sukuk is based on Qaradawi's position. That's number one. Whether the one speaking on their behalf acknowledges or not, what we'll have in the prospectus is Qaradawi's position. So, and this is not a new thing. Most of the so-called Islamic banks today, Qaradawi himself acknowledges this. I can read out his, when he was defending his position in the Majma' Fiqh Islami, I sent it to some of our brothers. So he's there. So he said that most of the so-called Islamic banks are what? Operating on al-muwa'adatul mulzima. He says it. For us to now use Majma's position to what? To blindfold the people. No, this is incorrect. Majma's position is different from Qaradawi's position. That's number one. Number two, guaranteeing the profit. Guaranteeing the purchase price of the item after the end of the lease period is riba. This is evident in the fatwa of the Fiqh Council as well. So if they are going to repurchase it from the owners, I mean the sukuk holders now, it must be what? It must be the market price. The market price of that thing as at the time of what? Repurchasing it or purchasing it from them. Not the original price that the people entered into what? Into the sukuk with. If that is the case, and we say the promise is binding, that means what? It is a loan that attracts interest. Not different from the bonds. If it is guaranteed that they are going to buy it, the purchase price of the sukuk. So meaning what? Whatever percentage they get every year, those are just what? The profit. I can sleep and rest assured that what? They will come and what? Buy it at the purchase price. So my capital is guaranteed. My capital is guaranteed because we have already signed an agreement, so to say. The buyer has already imposed it on himself or herself to what? To buy it at the purchase price. So my capital is what? Guaranteed. Huh? It won't come down. The purchase price, that is the from inception, the capital. So what is correct is what to say what? The market price. The market price of that item as at the time of what? The end of the lease. I'll be displayed. So then in addition to that, I'm saying this so that you know what you go into. Not particularly because of this. You know, originally I did not want to talk about this, but one should not keep quiet and let people watch delve into riba and we say what? Islamic. Now, take for instance, now you say, okay, we want to issue a sukuk of maybe ijara or anything, and maybe the SPV, the special purpose vehicle, or the SPE, as some people will call it, so which the people will call what? The Arabs will call it Ash-Sharikatu Dhatul Gharad al-Khas. So the company, so to say, is established for a special purpose. That is to take care of the sukuk, will be the one representing the sukuk holders. Now, they sell out the sukuk and people buy it. What do you want to buy with the sukuk? What do you want to build with the sukuk? If that thing has not been built, has not been what? Bought. Are you with me? Now you've collected money from people. The money you have collected from people, if the money has not been used to produce what? Ayn. Or the khidmah, if it has not been used to produce what? The particular thing or the particular service, it cannot be circulated. When I say circulated, you mean that means you, the buyer of that sukuk, you can't sell it. If you sell it, you are selling what? You are selling money. Are you with me? Or you didn't get it? You pay for sukuk. You pay for the sukuk. That sukuk, what is it representing? It must be, I'm not talking about this, our own case, not necessarily this case. Just get to know because you may watch fall into it. Now, you buy sukuk. The sukuk, what the issue of that sukuk, what is that sukuk representing? A house. I may decide to sell my house to you, for instance. I may decide to issue out sukuk. And the sukuk, you people buy it. The intention is that what? I want to sell my house. If I sell my house, then you, the sukuk holder, are what? The owner. The owners. I'm no longer the owner of the house. You are the owners. And you can do with it what you like. Your own portion of it. You can decide to sell your own portion. So when you sell your certificate to another person, you buy it for 20,000 naira, for instance, and you decide to sell it 30,000 naira. That soku, that certificate which is representing a portion of what? Existing house. So when you sell that thing now, you are not selling cash, you are not selling money, you are selling what? You are selling ownership of what? Existing house. This is different from when the house is not built. I use the house sukuk. When I issue out the sukuk, we want to build house. But the house has not been built. Then you are told that what? You can sell the sukuk. You can what? Do it whatever you like with the sukuk. You can sell your own sukuk. When you sell the sukuk, when the item that sukuk is meant for is not existing, you are selling what? Money. And when you are selling money, you must not make what? Profit. And it must be what? Yadan biyadin. Most of these things, the so-called Islamic banks, they violate. This that I'm telling you, you can make research on them. There is not something that is far-fetched. So it's simple.
situation whereby a company sells products. Now, as a customer, I have bought, let's say, X bags of particular products. Now, I have a paper which I will go and claim my product. But now, I'm not interested in buying the products. Can I sell that paper to another person, a third party, who now go and claim the product? Whereas, I'm not selling at the same value actually which I bought. I'm selling to get profits. For example, I buy for X naira, I'm selling for X plus 2 naira. It's fancy.
Now, before you answer that, the scenario usually plays out in this way that the product might not have been produced. Now, like say I want 1,000 bags of basic garri, but the garri processing company has not produced the garri. You don't know that whenever you come, will produce 1,000 bags of garri. I don't want you to have that.
Okay. Now, in that, with respect to that question, there is a difference of opinion among the scholars on one aspect. Then there is what? There is consensus on one aspect. If that thing has to do with food stuff, there is consensus that you cannot sell it to another person until you have, you have what? When we say taking possession, that is, you have carried it, not the paper. You know when you take the paper, they say what? You have taken possession of it because you have the paper that says you are the owner of that thing. So they all agree. If it is food stuff, that paper is not enough. You have to carry because of those ahadith that what Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade what the selling of ta'am hatta yuqbat until it what is taken. Then like the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade him from what? Doing that. He said what? Until you take it from another place to another place. But if it is not food stuff like cement and the likes, they give you the paper. So since the paper, you have the paper with you, is that considered as what? Taking possession? Milkiyah. Is that considered as what? Ownership of that thing? Majority of the scholars say yes. That it's considered what? Milkiyah. Then you can sell. But when you sell, you are still responsible for one thing. You are allowed to sell according to majority of the scholars, but one thing is that what? The commodity, you will not be said to have what? Deliver it until you deliver it. That is, if you give paper to somebody now, yes, you have sold it according to majority of the scholars, but the item that you have sold, you are still responsible for that thing until you take the item, or the owner takes the item. If the owner is not taking the item, you the seller are still responsible for it. The domain of that thing, you are still responsible for it. But as for sale, you can sell it according to majority of the scholars. However, there are some scholars who have the opinion that you can't sell it until what? You take it. And this is in agreement with the hadith of Zayd. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam naha an tuba'a as-sila'u haythu tubta'. It forbade the sale of commodities. Haythu tubta', where is it what? Where it's been bought. Hatta yahuza atujaru ila rihalihim, until the merchants take it to their places. So this hadith is what is clearer, and it is what in Sunan Abi Dawud and some other hadith. This is what some some scholars rely on, that says what? No, you can't sell it. But most of the scholars, wallahu alam, they have the opinion that as long as what there is something that indicates the milkiyah, the ownership of that thing, like take for instance, you purchase a car and you've been given the documents of the car. So you can what? You can sell it according to majority of the scholars. But some said you can't sell it until what? You also take the car physically and watch then you can watch, sell it. That is when you are considered to have taken possession of it. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, I think that the issue of is clear. Now, I don't want to mention a specific bank, whether you can relate to you can operate with the bank or not. But the most important thing is, as Muslim, you have to know your principles. Once you know your principles, you have 1,000 banks, you know whether you can operate with them or not. But saying, okay, so and so person has said so and so person, no, that is not evidence in Islam. If the issue would have been settled, Qardawi, Muhammad Ashkar, Karadagi, I mean, they would have settled the issue. But the issue remains there. This is what we are talking about. They are old people, some of them over 80, professor, and things like that. Yet, the issue is still what? Burning. But so and so person has said so and so. Maybe one local malam has said so and so. It's not, that does not solve the issue. Because it's not a new issue at all. It's something that the scholars have discussed, debated. So, I don't have any say in it. I'm just presenting what the scholars have said. So, this bank or this bank, know your principle. If you know your principle, you know the banks that agree with this, that is Sharia compliant, and the one that is not Sharia compliant. Wallahu a'lam. No.
Some people buy plots of land, maybe buy plots of land, they pay supplementary, and before they complete the payments, they have already started building houses and taking ownership and supplementary. So, how does this play?
Now, if somebody buys a plot of land in installments, so that is Bay'ul Ajal, meaning they give him the plot of land instantly, and he's paying in installments. Whether he's paying in installments or he's paying cash, he's paying once later, or he's paying in installments, this is Bay'ul Ajal. If he's paying in installments, they call it Bay'ul Taqsit. But Bay'ul Taqsit is also what? Part of Bay'ul Ajal. It's deferred payment sale. So there is nothing wrong with that. Though some scholars, like Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, is of the opinion that there must not be any increase in the sale price, so to say. Take for instance, this thing is supposed to sell for 20,000 naira, but because you are not going to pay me now, I'm going to sell it to you 25,000 naira. Is it permissible or not? Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah says no. It is haram. It falls under two transactions in one, because of the hadith man ba'a bi'atayn fi bi'atin falahu akasuhuma aw riba. But majority of the scholars of the past and what the present, they will not see it as something that is wrong, because this is my commodity. I can decide to sell it how much I want to sell it. So I may decide to reduce money because this person is my relative, this person is my friend, and I may decide to sell it more than the price that I sell it ordinarily, because somebody is not going to pay me. It becomes riba. If I sell it to the person, then the person is now unable to pay at the time we agree. I'm now using the opportunity of his inability to pay to give him more time now. But if I'm adding more money from inception towards the commodity, this majority of the scholars of the past and present do not have a problem with it. And this is a fatwa of the Majami Fiqhiyya, and the Mashayikh, Sheikh Umba, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, Sheikh Fawzan, many other scholars like that. So there is nothing wrong with this. So once the land is sold to you, even when you have not paid and you start building house on it, it's yours. It's yours.
What if he's not able to pay? He cannot complete the payment.
If he cannot complete the payment, what happens?
He decides to sell the land in order to get the money and pay back to him.
Yes, he can sell his land. They've transferred the ownership of it to him. So he can sell the land pay the person that is owing and what puts more money in his own pocket.
Most of the people that does that, they retain the ownership. Like all this.
And this is higher purchase. You are going back to higher purchasing. Higher purchase. So they will tell you what is not yours now. No, you can't retain ownership. What if they retain ownership? That means it's lease. You can't retain ownership of something and say what you have sold it to me. If you retain ownership, that means you have not sold it. Because if I'm the buyer of a thing, I'm what? The owner of that thing. So, and that is what led them to introduce the so-called hire purchase. That is, let me treat this person as a hire or a lessee, so to say. So you'll be paying what? He will be paying installments. Then maybe at the end of the lease period, I will say what? He should bring a balloon payment. Then after that, I say what? It has become his. So what I've done in actual sense is sale, but I covered it up with ijara. The lease is just what? Cover up. The thing I've done is what? I've sold that into him. But I do not want him to take ownership. And I say ijara. So and that's why the fatwa of the Ayatul Kibar Ulama and the likes, likewise the Fiqh Council, they say what is haram. However, if the way they have not separated it is what we have just discussed. Okay, it is lease now, but later, when let's have a promise, a binding promise that later, what you buy it. So that promise is what we have been discussing. Is a promise binding? So if we say the promise is binding, that means you have concluded the two transactions in one. We have sold it. You have also what? Leased it. Which one are we operating out of the two? No, you say no, you have not sold it, it's still lease. Okay, do I have the right to say at the end of the lease period that I'm no more interested? No, you can't say that. Why now? We have not completed transaction and what the agreement, the promise is what is binding. So if the promise is binding, that means we have completed the transaction from inception. No, we have not completed this transaction. So this is what we have just discussed. Now, there is one thing that the Ayatul Kibar Ulama and the Fiqh Council, they suggest in a situation like this. You sell your commodity in what? In installment to somebody, and you have transferred the ownership of that item to that person. But you are afraid that the person may not fulfill what? The payment. You are afraid. You can ask him to what? To use the document of that particular thing as what? Collateral. Are you with me? Now, like the case of the car that he said, or the house, for instance, the papers, the document of that house. Okay, I've sold this house to you. You'll be paying me in what? In installments. But the paper of that house, I will take it as what? Collateral. I will take it as what? Collateral. Who is the owner? He is still the owner. The buyer is the owner. But collateral. There is nothing wrong. So, and once you use something as collateral, it means what? You can't sell it. Huh? Anything that you have used as what? Collateral, it means what? You can't sell it. So with this, you can watch. You can protect your interest. So the Ayatul Kibar Ulama, they gave this way out in things like this. Wallahu alam.
Is there any particular hadith that points to the permissibility of paying idol? Not contesting rights permissible, but maybe an example in a particular hadith that can say that this paying idol was practiced in time of the Prophet or in time of
Now, I don't know of any clear hadith other than what the scholars will say, the hadith of Barira, that Aisha radiallahu anha wanted to buy her, and she wanted to free herself from her master, and they asked her to pay for aqsat, an installment for 9 years. So she felt that it would be too long. So she approached Aisha radiallahu anha, and Aisha was ready to pay everything. But they added this issue of who will be the one to inherit her if she does not have any inheritor. So they said what? They will be the one to inherit her if there is no any inheritor of her if she dies. So Aisha radiallahu anha says what? No, I'm supposed to inherit her because I bought her. They took the matter to the Messenger of Allah, that is Aisha took it to the Messenger of Allah, and he said, agree with them. Messenger of Allah now mounted the mimbar and he said, ما بعض قوم يشترطون شروطا ليس في كتاب الله. What is wrong with some people that will be given some conditions that are not in line with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? كل شرط ليس في كتاب الله فهو باطل ولو كان 100 شرط. The people add this, so that brought the issue of what will be the one to inherit Barira if she doesn't have anybody to inherit her, brought it to an end. Because they've had what? The admonition from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the shy idea is that what? For 9 years. So ordinarily people wouldn't have allowed you to pay for 9 years if there is no any special benefit coming to them. If it is the same thing that they will sell cash, is what they will do for 9 years. The nature of man is not like that. The nature of man is not like that. Okay, this car is what? If I want to sell it to you cash, is what? 1 million naira. But if you want to pay for 9 years, it's still 1 million naira. Nature of man is not like that. But the scholars, they said, they deduce from this that this shows that what? It was something that people had been practicing before. But it's not clear. Now, secondly, they use the hadith of Be'us Salam. Be'us Salam, what people will do is that they will pay in advance, expecting the commodity. But once they are paying in advance, they will pay less. They will pay less. So the farmer will make use of the money that he gets quickly. So the Muslim, the one that is paying, what will also enjoy paying less. So this is the way they've been practicing salam. So if you are paying in advance, you won't pay in advance for something that is not around now, that is not available now, except that maybe there is a reduction in price. Are you with me? So when you want to buy something, you want to buy 5 or 6 or 7 of an item. If not that you really need that item, the next thing that will make you buy it is because you have found it cheaper. Is that correct? So the scholars, they use this as evidence that what was commonplace is that people will practice Be'us Salam, that is, they will pay in advance expecting commodity. So, and the practice is that they will pay less so that they will benefit this. The seller, the farmer then will also make use of the money that he has gotten to do some things. So he has also benefited from it. So the opposite is Be'u Ajal. Now, Be'u Ajal, no money, but there is commodity. So the owner of the commodity wouldn't have release his commodity, if not that there is a kind of benefit that is going to get, just as the case of Salam. So they said this is the way it used to operate. Wallahu a'lam.
So there's 2 methods of operating. I don't know whether it's allowed. One is financing, the other one is operating. So whereby the situation is financed, the owner, the restaurant, with the money, as with the item concerned with it, so will be the person that is responsible. However, the other one is operating lease. Because of that.
What is the difference between the operating lease and the finance lease? The major difference between the finance lease and the operating lease.
The difference is that the person in charge of that will be the one that.
Which one is longer?
The finance one is the owner of the item. That if the item has cost, will be the one to finance that. But mostly the lease price is higher than operating one. If it's operating one, you can lease item. If it has cost, and the one responsible and maybe have this one is
for instance, now if you rent an apartment, is that operating or finance lease?
It depends on the agreement.
So
So the agreement based on the initial agreement between the DC and the lessor. So if they agree that okay, this is financial this, so it shows that you are the one that will take anything as a problem in the house. So the owner comes and visits.
What I've learned is that the finance lease is maybe long-term, somehow long-term lease somehow, and in addition to what you have said, but most of these things they fall under this finance lease of a thing. So what we look at is the way they are operating it. You cannot transfer the major maintenance of a property to the lessee. But if it's the what they call the tashghil, the kulfa of tashghiliya, what's used to operate it, if that is what you are referring to, then this is born. Take for instance now, you lease a house to me, I will not be expecting you to come and sweep the house, to wash the bathroom. So any money I spend in in cleaning the bathroom will be borne by myself. You lease a car to me, the fuel of the car will be the one to be responsible for that. But if it is major maintenance, so which they call teklifa siyana, so in this case it should be borne by the owner, the lessor.
That's what I'm trying. So because that concept is there, based on the agreement, if you are signed for the finance lease, so you are the one to bear the major finance. No, not the owner. I
understand what you are saying. What I'm saying is that now, if I'm renting a house now everywhere, are we operating finance lease or operating lease?
It depends on the agreement you sign.
Okay, which one did you sign? Which one did you sign?
What is trying to say is that usually, I think it's trying to explain that the two is two different things.
I know, I understand.
Depending on the one that the lessor now agree. No, you say that.
Which one? Most of us. No, we can't say allowed or not allowed. What you look at are some things. Lease generally. Because if you look at this operating lease and the finance lease, you see that even those who are saying that at times they find it difficult to differentiate. According to what I've read, it's something that's somehow difficult at times. So that they will refer it back to those who are involved in it. So Islam doesn't talk much on things like that. But what matters is it a lease? If it's a lease, major maintenance is on the owner. The teklifa tashghiliya, what you used to operate it, is on you. But major maintenance, he cares for it now. So I will not be the one, the lessee will not be the one to be responsible, unless if I'm negligent, or there is a kind of transgression on my part. This is what Islam says. So whether you are not saying tashghiliya, yes, they call it ijara tashghiliya or ijara temwiliya, that's finance lease. Whether you are saying it is finance lease or you are saying it is the other one. So what matters is major maintenance on the owner, minor maintenance on the lessee. Allah.
So I think the way to operates this is the landlord that still, he doesn't get any cost because they collect damages from you at the same time. So even if there is a major maintenance from your damages that they use to fix it, so invariably it is the tenant that pays for everything. Yes.
Maybe something what
that's what I'm saying.
Well, that money is refunded.
They don't refund it.
Even if they don't refund the some do refund. Yeah, some do.
Why are going out of your
Yes.
That's nice.
Some do. but not the complete quantity.
So ordinarily they should do if you do not maybe destroy anything in the house ordinarily, but maybe because a lot of people do not know the.
Do not ask. That's just it.
The damages when there is no time, when it's not going out. I don't know if the tie is what about even the tie, the damages, nothing. Unless I'm aiming for the first time. What about the tie? We can have for the or not.
Short time has to do with that.
Now,
that's why I said you're not spending the money. I need this tie. I paid you.
And did he agree that you all the money?
I want to collect the damage I paid. The first time I knew I need to give you, sir, get it low. What about the ties?
نعم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك